Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Three continents, 4 countries, and tonight we add 1 to each count. Through Spain, England, Japan, and Brazil, now Australia lies ahead for the Northwest GT3 Challenge. Garrett D'Alessandro has emerged as the early favorite for this late 2020 campaign, but Pacific Sim Motorsport drivers Chris Brunnemer and James Hansen are trying to strike back. Gavin Cohn, Trevor Anderson, and more battle for third on back this evening up the mountain known as Bathurst, while Sarah Rabb will do her best to correct a sliding season. Welcome race fans to Pit Stop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. JP Costa and Emerson Arden join me in the booth. Trey Shuttlesworth is on social media coverage. I am Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of the Northwest GT3 Challenge at Mount Panorama Circuit. We join you tonight live from the virtual Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia for the 5th race on the season. And gentlemen, what a doozy those first 4 races have been. Barcelona was a very interesting opening race, I think is one way to say it. Brands Hatch was exciting all the way down to the last few laps with that battle with Garrett D'Alessandro and Chris Brunnemer. We had the very interesting race at Okayama to boot with that wreck out of turn number 4 Atwood Curve. And then last week, I almost had to say 2 weeks ago. Anyways, last week out at Interlagos, I think was certainly a great race and definitely showed what these drivers have to offer. This evening, though, they've got to brave this mountain, Mount Panorama Circuit. It is one of the tougher racetracks in the world, but it's also one of the more fun racetracks, I think. It is just a proper mountain driving road, and it's just a lot of fun for these drivers to tackle. We get to see how they're going to do so this evening. Chris Brunnemer already leading qualifying. He's got John Whitendorf and Garrett D'Alessandro very close behind. I think it's only 3/10 actually back to Brady Lubenow, who was in 4th place. So I guess 3 and some change, 3 3/4 thereabouts. A half second roughly back to Jackson Lowry in 5th place so far in qualifying. These guys all pretty close considering that it is Mount Panorama, but I think Chris Brunnemer definitely emerging right now as the early favorite for this evening's race, and I wouldn't expect anything different, JP.
Yeah, exactly. He was the fastest guy on practice, and he currently is the fastest guy in qualifying. And on this racetrack, apart from like every single other one that we visited, I'm pretty sure this one is where track position is going to matter the most. You cannot really pass on the mountain section of this racetrack. You only have a handful of overtaking opportunities. He's just coming up to one right now, and it's going to be incredibly difficult if you're on 2nd place to try to pass the guy ahead if he doesn't make a mistake. So definitely starting on pole and pulling that gap, and even if you can't pull that gap, just keeping your head down and not making any mistakes is going to be the name of the game tonight. And Chris currently looks like he's on pace. He doesn't seem to be making any mistakes on practice and on qualifying, so he's pretty much set for this race. It's not going to be interesting to see if Garrett D'Alessandro can bounce back from what could be a disappointing week at Interlagos, and hopefully he can keep the championship lead, or we can see maybe a new championship leader tonight.
Yeah, when you think about it, somebody who I don't think has honestly gotten the credit they deserve is John Whitendorf. I mean, he's up here in 2nd in qualifying, and I mean, he's I've done socials the past few weeks, and normally I'll update the top 10 a couple times throughout the race, and he's always a name I hear in the top 5 or 10. And to see him in second, not really a surprise to me, but not really a name you hear too much when you think about it. Oh, there's a wreck in the S's. That I feel like that's not going to be the only time I say that tonight. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night tonight at Mount Panorama. I mean, we just had the Bathurst 1000 this past week in real life, so I think perfect timing to come out to this beautiful, beautiful scenic circuit.
Bathurst is definitely a beautiful one, and before we get too far into things, actually, I think part of the reason that John Whitendorf isn't really talked about very much is because he's not in this top 10 in the standings. I think that's the biggest reason we don't say his name very often, because he has missed a race or two, and that is holding him out of the top 10 so far, but he's working on chipping away slowly at that gap. Speaking of gaps, James Hansen has a 9-point gap to overcome if he wants to get up to Garrett D'Alessandro this evening in the point standings, and this does mark the end of the first half of the season, because we have an off week next week, and I believe we only run through Zolder, which should be our 10th race of the season. So this is halfway, and if you're not putting the pressure on Garrett D'Alessandro yet, I'm not sure that you can overcome anything at this point, because Garrett is just so good. That said, Garrett was third when we started this intro, and, well, now James Hansen has overtaken him in qualifying, so James is going to try, I guess, to get up there and put some pressure on the number 13. You see the battles, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all just only 4 points apart. That is very, very tight points racing for those positions, and anything can still change if you want to get up to that 3rd spot in the points, but it's going to be tough for those guys to get up to the leaders. Then you also see some very close battling further back in the top 10. Michael Doling all the way through Sarah Rabb, who did lose some spots at Interlagos, and she drops 3 positions in one race alone to 10th spot, but she's looked pretty good all season so far, and she's looking pretty good this evening as well. I think she slid down the qualifying standings just a little bit, but in practice, this number 31 looked pretty solid, and I think has some good things ahead. She's been talked about as a driver to look out for.
Yeah, exactly, and I guess this table just shows how important it is to keep your nose clean throughout the championship and actually finishing races, because, you know, we've seen Chris, and he has the pace. He won last week in Interlagos. He looks like he has the pace to win tonight. You know, we haven't even started the race, but, you know, I'm already saying that he won, but, you know, he won he won last week, and he's set to win this tonight as well, but he's not in the top 10 of the standings, so, you know, bad luck came his way on the championship on the first few rounds, so he was all sort of out of luck, and unfortunately he's not on the top 10. James Hansen, on the other hand, you know, he hasn't won a race. He was on the podium for the first 3 races, and unfortunately didn't get the podium in Interlagos, but he's only 9 points behind Garrett, and he looks like he's the only driver that can possibly make a move for the championship lead. He is currently ahead of Garrett, so that's essential for him, but, you know, he just proves that consistency is the key on the championship.
I also think, you know, this track, the intensity that this track brings, and the fear that this track can bring, you know, one wrong move and you can see yourself at the bottom of the running order, and all of a sudden these standings get turned upside down, and maybe we're talking about one of these guys 30, 40 back that now come into the mix should D'Alessandro and Hansen maybe have issues. Also, Jackson Lowry just went second quickest in qualifying. That's going to be fun to see as we close out the qualifying session. 3.5 minutes left in that.
And let's talk a bit about this track, rather. These guys are fighting this evening. It is quite a doozy. You see Hell Corner down there, turn 1. Currently, Jackson Lowry is He's attacking the dipper. There we go. Turn 14, he's going to head down through the second part of the S's. More S's, as we mentioned earlier on this evening before we went live. And then he's going to roll through Forest Elbow and down the Conrad straight. But this place is one heck of a beast to get around. Turn 1, Hell Corner, you go up the mountain straight to Quarry Bend. Turns 3 and 4, I think, is going to be our first trouble spot. The cutting. It is so tough to get the car cut down in speed, I suppose. Get on the brakes and not lose the back end of the race car, as it's going to want to. You're going to find yourself, I think, counter-steering a little bit to the right most of the evening just to try and hold on to things. Then you head up more of the mountain, Griffin's Mount, Reed Park, Frog Hollow. You've got the, it's the perfect moment to bring up my drain cam this evening. We're going to see how many cars hit the drain. The over-under is set at 20.5, by the way. So you can place your bets on Facebook and Twitter. But you do head through this section of racetrack. We got Eddie Hat on one side, Chill on the other. It's known as, Reed Park into Frog Hollow, then Solomon Park, McPhillamy, which is really just the run down to Skyline, run through the S's, the Dipper there for turn 14, some more S's, and then, like I said, background to Forest Elbow, turn 18 and 19. This place is one heck of a racing circuit, and very glad that we get to cover our first race here at Pit Stop TV. It's a really, really cool place. Qualifying is starting to wrap up. We're inside the last 2 minutes here, JP, and things are looking tight in the top 5. They've actually narrowed it down just a little bit. I think it's slightly less of a half second, I suppose, between the top 5. And Chris Brunnemer, he's really putting it to the field right now. He's now got over a quarter second back to second place, Jackson Lowry.
Yeah, exactly. And then the battle between, I was just going to mention, but the battle between now 3rd and 7th, 6th, is extremely close. We have less than 0.2 of a second separating the top 3, actually the 3rd from 6th. And now Brady Lube now puts his car up in 2nd. And, qualifying, I feel, on this racetrack is just as important as it was on Brands Hatch and probably Okayama. Because, this track is completely the opposite of Interlagos, I feel. Interlagos, you can't technically make a move on pretty much every single corner because the track just allows. This one you can, you just have a few selected spots that you can realistically make a move without, pretty much crashing your car. And the rest of the racetrack is just as you're watching right now. It's just concrete barriers that can absolutely wreck your car and destroy your race within a 10th of a second. So it's going to be, qualifying is the most important of the season so far, because keeping that track position and keeping your nose ahead is going to be essential to guaranteeing a good finishing position on tonight's race.
Yeah, we'll work up this back part, up the hill and down. Big hit there. This is coming around. He's going to actually just pull off. That's probably a good move. That lap was killed. The rest of qualifying comes to an end here. So I guess I'll bring it back to Andrew so we can keep this puppy right on the road.
Currently just watching some of these other drivers get around here. Gavin Cohn was that driver that we saw Bennett from his onboard. James Allen is somebody that we got to talk about, because if we go back to the point standings, he's actually making his way up, not downtown, but up those standings, and he's now into 8th position, only 46 back out of the lead, but he's only 3 back from Michael Dolling, and he's only 12 from Justin McCalla, and that would put him into that battle really for 3rd position. So if he can make up some spots this evening, we could be talking about James Allen putting it on the season-long podium, which would be really killer for him. I mean, he's had to battle through some interesting races via Barcelona or what have you. We are down to, looks like the checker flag is flown here on qualifying, so we're just waiting for things to wrap up. It's gonna be a heck of a race. We see somebody out in the chat mentioning that it's a metal grate, not a drain. Well, that may be, but I think just calling it the grate cam would be kind of redundant, because all of these cams are great and you can get them at Whiplash Media. Michael Bishop, we saw him in his very interesting moment last week at Interlagos. He's currently, now he's stopping. I'll say he's headed down out of the chase to Murray's Corner. He really had an interesting race last week. I don't think he was one that went flipping there into turn 8, but it was still something. Let's see, who was it? Gary something or other got him. That one made the highlight reels for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That was an unusual mistake in Interlagos. We really don't see a lot of mistakes there, but hopefully we don't see mistakes here tonight. But I'm pretty sure in celebration we're gonna be seeing some cars flying at the checkered flag. Obviously it's a surprise, but everybody that runs iRacing knows pretty much the tradition after the flag, and hopefully we can see every single driver just celebrating after the race.
Yeah, let's talk about the first lap. I was gonna say, I guess, before qualifying ended, that first lap, it's gonna be, if you're in the middle of the pack, you're gonna be even if you're not, you're gonna be holding your breath that first lap, pretty much from turn 3 all the way up to through the chase. It is hold your breath, because there's gonna be cars all around you, or it's gonna be your first time coming through there at speed in the race. It is going to be a wicked opener to this race.
Yeah, I fully expect some trouble lap 1, and then I think things will calm down a little bit. It's so tough to get around this place early in the going, because everybody's just trying to get some spots and capitalize on possibly a bad start and just trying to capitalize on some good corners if they don't qualify very well. And then there's guys that want to be safe. So it's just going to be meeting in the middle, and it's going to be tough to get through this evening. But I have faith that all these drivers can do so. It's just a matter of sometimes you run into one another, you run into a wall, and, well, it happens. But we do have, it looks like 31 getting ready to go at it here for an hour. And, oh, man, it's going to be something watching these guys. Their times range from 2:03.3s all the way up to 2:10.8s. But I think some of those slower times will pick up, especially once they're in the draft, but also just once they're at race pace and getting used to one another. So it's going to be a pretty close race, I think. When you consider all of the places to mess up, all of the places where you can lose time here at Bathurst, that's actually a decently close spread, only 7 seconds. And again, I mean, there's so many places where you can mess up, you can lose time, and if you have a higher downforce trim on your race car, you're going to lose time down the straights as well. So it's really, I think, a pretty close spread, all things considered. Considering qualifying just ended, though, we're going to roll right into our starting grid, and rolling off P1 is last week's Interlagos winner. It's Chris Brennemer. Qualifying on pole. There we go. Brady Lubenow joins him on that front row. In third place, we're going to have none other than Jackson Lowry. John Whitendorf starts to his outside in fourth position. Fifth place, we get James Hansen. He's trying to put the attack on his row 3 running mate, Garrett D'Alessandro. Roll back to row number 4. It's Mikhail Rudebush in the number 22. Ew, I can't. I cannot English this evening. Put that on the bingo card. Gavin Cohen will start there with Mikhail Rudebush. There we go. I said his name correctly that time. That's 7th and 8th position. Roll back to row 5, and it's Trevor Anderson, who's also trying to work things out for himself. He sits 4th in the standings right now just by sheer consistency alone. Tyler Campbell joins him in the top 10.
Starting off in P11, we have Sven Hartman, and right alongside him, Sarah Reb, who's I'm pretty sure is going to be wanting to do a comeback race just like she did on the past few weeks, hopefully better than Interlagos. Starting in P13, we have James Allen, and right alongside him, Edwin Litolf. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Justin Michaela starts in P15, right alongside him, Tartan Longacre. In P17, Michael De La Sala, alongside him, Mick Blue in 18th place. Jeffrey Belk in 19th place, and running off the top 20, Alan Roth.
We fall back to row number 11. We'll have John McClintock starting P21, and to his outside, we'll have Tom Afey. Row 12, we'll have Christopher Raftis and Stephen Erlenbush. Row number 13, we'll have Maurice Jones and Justin Craig. Row number 14, we'll have Michael Bishop. After that wild ride last week, starting 27th, we'll see if he can make his way up through the field. Jason Frisch starts 28th. Row 15, we'll have Bernd Osterhag and Josh Jaburek. And rounding out the back of the field, Randall Ayers.
31 cars in all. It's a very short formation lap for these guys to get set to go racing here at Bathurst. They will exit Murray's Corner. The green flag flies, and we are racing at Mount Panorama.
And Chris Brennemer, as usual, is getting a great start and already leading it down into T1. Looks like on the back end, we do have Jackson Lowry battling with John Winterdorf already side by side. Is going to head up the hill into turn 2. Looks like both of the Audis are flying in formation pretty much. Garrett D'Alessandro is going to be trying to make a move round the outside, as James Hansen unfortunately has dropped a position from where he's starting. He's going to be fighting off the pressure from the BMW. As we look ahead, it looks like Jason Lowry is going to be fighting off the inside. And Garrett D'Alessandro trying to fight off around the outside is pretty difficult with the heavy car and the heavy fuel load, but looks like he made it work. Yes, he did, and he's going to be leading off that battle. Looks like the Ferrari is already looking down the inside. James Hansen already looked down the inside of Jackson Lowry, who unfortunately started on P3, but looks like dropped all the way down to P6, but unfortunately is going to be fighting on the inside. Both drivers giving each other enough room. That's incredible, and both of them make it alive through the first sector.
As the field works their way to the backside of this course, just want to say Tyler Campbell had a moment coming into Corey Ben. He now has his spoiler dented in half, if you will. It does not look good on the back end of his Audi, but we continue up front here, and we work our way through the S's, coming up through the dipper, on our way to the elbow, actually, Forest Elbow. We head down the hill, and we'll go from there as we come out of the elbow. Oh, there's actually a big incident in the dipper. Somebody's gone around. Tyler Campbell has to cut to avoid it.
Sven Hartman looks like involved. He's stuck in the Falcon tire barrier. And, oh, man, this is just rough. And no, that was in Forest Elbow, not the Dipper. Was there an incident further back?
I'm not really sure, as looks like we have a battle for the lead. Chris Brunnemer unfortunately got pushed out wide by Brady Lube. Now Brady unfortunately now loses the provisional lead from John Winterdorf, who moves up to P3 from the lead, actually moved from P3 to the lead right now. That was an incredible optimistic move from both of them. It looks like Chris Brunnemer, out of bad luck, already fell down to P4, unfortunately for him. So it looks like another recovery race for him, as bad luck once again strikes him.
Yeah, you really do hate to see it. Oh, and around goes, I think, Brunnemer. Brunnemer's gone. No, that's Lubenow. Lubenow's gone around from second position, right at pit exit off of Hell's Corner. And I think he just went a little too wide.
Yeah, he just went wide out of the turn one and caught the grass, whips that Ferrari around, and he'll rejoin the pack up the hill. Whoa, and the number 17, is that who I think it is? It is Alan Roth making the big move. We know you fans like Alan Roth. We have a surprise. It wasn't supposed to be this way, but we have a surprise for all of you Alan Roth fans. Hopefully you can figure out which car is his among the pack, as you cannot see it as they go into the cutting. And actually, I hear some crunches, but I think they're all sorted out. He's going to try and pass Michael De La Salle up the hill, possibly, but Alan Roth sticking it to Brady Lubenow right there, not letting his mistake go unnoticed and capitalizing on it as well before they go up the quarry bend. Alan Roth, actually, a decent start. He's looking like he might go up to the top half of the field. I'm kind of roasting him right now, and I don't even mean to. He's actually looking pretty solid, and I'm glad that he's back in the field this evening.
Yeah, exactly. He did a great start. He's already up 3 positions, but unfortunately he has to fend off Brady Lubenow, who obviously starting on P2, so he definitely has the pace advantage, at least on Alan Roth. But we're gonna have to wait and see if he can handle the pressure from that Ferrari, which is gonna be wanting to make a comeback race tonight. You can see just how close he gets on exit. He's already gonna be putting alongside the car. I don't think Alan Roth is gonna be fighting him too hard if he knows I don't know, if he wants to risk it. Obviously he can. It's obviously in his right, but looks like they're going to be going side by side through the backstretch. Looks like Alan Roth doesn't care. He's going to be fighting for that position. It's his position on track. He's going to be going defensive. You can see that Brady Lubenow, he's going to be putting the nose on the inside. He doesn't, but Alan Roth unfortunately runs wide. He's going to be losing 1, 2, maybe 3 positions right now. So that's unfortunately a costly mistake, as we can see an Audi going off. That's Tom Athy unfortunately losing a few positions, and that's the carnage that Bathurst brings it to you.
Up front, Garrett D'Alessandro has brought the gap down to 1 second. He just went purple that time by the start-finish line. Of course, that was the first full lap at race pace. Brady Lubenow back in 16th there. You saw that overtake. He begins his slow, trudgingly climb up the running order. We'll see if he can make up that time. But on board D'Alessandro now through quarry bend and on his way down to the cutting.
Into the cutting he goes. This is where the back of the car, especially Audi, is going to want to step out. You hear the tires squeal just a little bit, trying to hang on to that race car. This Audi is going to be evil all night long. Well, actually, it's morning. This race is set in the morning. It's not all that dark. I wish we could have had a dark to sunrise race, but they dealt with some sunrise conditions early on in practice. Regardless, the number 13 and all of the other Audis in this field going to be battling some evil handling there from the Audi. It's really just a matter of trying to make it handle the nicest that you can, because it's not going to want to. Speaking from experience driving the Audi here at Bathurst, it is tough, and he's already got company from a Ferrari. Those PSM guys, they've really got something figured out, especially when it comes to challenging Garrett D'Alessandro for position.
Yeah, exactly. The Audi has the advantage on the second sector of the racetrack, but unfortunately loses out on straight line speed. It looks like Chris Brunnemer is ready to pounce on the attack. He was fending off pressure from James Hansen on the front straightaway, but it looks like right now he's putting pressure on Garrett D'Alessandro. Is he going to be making a move onto the chase? We're just going to have to wait and see. It looks like Garrett D'Alessandro is going to be going defensive. Chris is going to have to go around the outside. He doesn't. He breaks. He's going to try to get the cutback, but unfortunately he doesn't get the proper exit. But, looks like we're going to have a battle for the Titans, looks like, as John Winterdorf is obviously thanking them both. As you can see, it looks like Chris Brunnemer tried to put the nose on the inside, but unfortunately wasn't close enough. And right now he's going to be having to fend off pressure once again from James Hansen.
And you're going to see this. He has about 4 overtaking points, pretty much out of Forest Elbow on the way to Quarry Bend. 4 points to try to get around D'Alessandro. And that's his third one. They just passed. This last one's into Quarry Bend. And he really wants to get around D'Alessandro. But if he can't get around him into Quarry Bend, he's going to have to ride behind him a whole other lap. And that gap to Wittendorf will continue to open. It's already up to 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds coming into turn 2.
You see this couple of Pacific Sim Motorsport drivers, these Ferraris following suit with this number 13 Audi, and oh, that was almost a lunge there from Brunnemer into the cutting. You really cannot pass there. It's so tight. The racing line is just so concise right there. You've got to be really careful if you do try and put it up the inside. Really, it's just a matter of trying to pressure somebody into a mistake across the mountain without getting into that mistake, because it's easy. If you pressure somebody into making that mistake or just running wide, hitting a fence, whatever, it's very easy to be collected in their mess, and that can really end your race very quickly. I mean, we saw Sven Hartman with his trouble, the newlywed, packed into that tire barrier in Forest Elbow a little while ago on lap 1. So it's so easy to make one little mistake, and especially when you've got cars battling, trying to race around one another, it's really tough to actually race somebody through the mountain, but these guys do it. Oh! D'Alessandro catches the tire. Well, no, actually it was the concrete wall on the exit of Forest Elbow, and that's going to hurt that Audi's straight line speed.
Yeah, exactly. The Audi doesn't have the advantage on a straight line speed, and that's definitely not going to help his challenge right now. And it looks like he's already going defensive even before the kick, before the chase. It looks like Chris Brunneman is going to be pointing the car around the outside. He's going to have the inside line. It looks like he's going to get the move stick. Garrett is going to fight around the outside. He's going to get the better exit. It looks like he keeps his position for now. So Garrett obviously dragging that Audi right now as best as he can. John Winter obviously thanking them both so he can pull away, but looks like he breaks a little bit on the grass. He goes a bit wide and he's going to unfortunately be losing the position to Chris. Is he going to lose the position to James as well? Looks like he's not. So unfortunately a small mistake for Garrett already cost him P2, and Chris, after making that small mistake on lap 2, I'm pretty sure, he's already up into second. He's going to definitely be challenging John Winterdorf in the next few laps.
Sometimes that's all it takes around here at Mount Panorama. One little mistake, and boom, there's that change for second position. Now, I want to say D'Alessandro had a brilliant defense coming out of the chase. He was trying really hard, so I want to see if we can get back to Brunnemer. Maybe Brunnemer can now do what D'Alessandro was doing in terms of defending that position. But at least between this battle, this has now opened up Windorf's gap to 2.4 seconds, and that continues to grow. So John Wittendorf is loving what he's seeing that maybe he won't even really be able to see anymore. They're actually 2.5 seconds back now, and a lot of blind corners around this circuit.
That's all it is. I mean, this is a proper mountain road that was turned into race circuit at some point, and I definitely want to shake the hand rather of the man who decided to do so, because this is just a brilliant place to race. We've said it so many times. Through Skyline down to the Dipper, these guys will go, and ooh, a bit rough on the curb there for James Hansen. You see the Audi of D'Alessandro stepping out a little bit. Really, he's just holding the slide when he commits to those corners. It's getting sideways, and he's holding it like a dirt car. I'm very impressed by the way these drivers are handling the evilness of these Audi R8s. The balance of the car just promotes the car oversteering, sliding around, and you've really just got to hold into it, kind of steer with it, and it is very tough to do. Some other battles throughout the top 10. You see Jackson Lowry is clear right now of Gavin Cohn. These guys, I believe it was these two who battled a lot 1 week ago at Interlagos. Trevor Anderson, he's solidly in 7th place right now over Mikkel Ruderbusch. Thankfully, no Brands Hatch turn 8s around this place, and he's actually looking pretty solid in P8. That's an inside joke, and hopefully some viewers remember Brands Hatch a little while back, and love to kind of razz Mikkel, although he has been into the wall at some point. He's got a lot of right side damage to that Valhalla Audi.
Yeah, talking about damage, I'm not sure if it's a visual netcode damage on my end, but looks like Chris Brunnemer has a bit of damage on the front left fender of his Ferrari, so that might cost him a performance. That might cost him a bit of performance if it is actual damage, not only on my screen. But looks like he cannot shake off Garrett D'Alessandro for now. Looks like he's still under pressure. Looks like Winterdorf is still pulling away bit after bit. You know, looks like, yeah, he was just 1/10 of a second quicker than Chris last lap. But looks like these two are going to be stuck behind a battle. And obviously James Hansen, I'm pretty sure he's on the perfect spot, because if those two get tangled up, he's in a position where he might be able to avoid a crash, because, as you said, there's no runoff area. So if the car ahead of you makes a mistake and gets collected into the wall, most likely you're going to be involved in the crash as well.
D'Alessandro continues to pile on the pressure on Brennemer, and of course, he's going to stick with Brennemer down the Conrad Straight and the Mountain Straight because how much slipstream you get down the straightaways. But if he can keep Brennemer honest through this backside of the course, that's really going to tell the tale on who's got what in this fight. At least it looked like Brennemer didn't have what it took through this backside of the course, but Brennemer has the straight line speed, and I think, quite honestly, just a better handling car. If there's a little bit of damage on there, that could change things a little bit, but they have closed the gap to Wittendorf now to 2 seconds, and that is going to be interesting to see if that gap continues to close, especially as they come out of the elbow and up the Conrad Straight.
It is worth mentioning, it looks like we have lost the number 31 of Sarah Rabb. Not really sure what happened, but I do want to see if we can go back and find it possibly, because it looks like her car has been binned. She's a couple of laps down, and she was a driver reportedly to watch out for this evening as well, so I have to wonder if there was some help in upsetting that number 31 car and crashing it. Realistically, it looks like has happened. So we're going to watch replay. We're going to try and find out what happens to Sarah here.
Just while we try to find what happened to that driver, it looks like Gavin Cohn made a move on Jackson Larry, so looks like Jackson made a mistake in Gavin Cohn using the superior straight line speed of that BMW, just made a move right before the chase, and looks like he's settled for that P5 position for now. Now only time will tell if he has the pace to challenge James Hansen on the next few laps, or he's gonna stick to that solid top five finish essentially.
So we're still watching the replay here, and this is Rabb battling off, I can't tell, a BMW into Quarry's Bend here. And everything looks fine here. Does she go wide here? No, it looks nice and tidy into the cutting. I guess we'll continue watching up the hill.
For a while here. I had to go quite a ways back at the replay to try and find this incident. Don't be concerned by the name switching hands at the top of the screen. Since we're in the replay, it's going to do that here, Emerson. But we want to find out what happens here to Sarah, because, again, she was a driver we were told to watch out for, and it seems like something has happened to her number 31 Ferrari, and it really sucks to see as well, because she's had some good races, but recently a couple of bad races really hurting her results and holding her back in the standings. She looked like she was going to be a driver to really contend with at one point, and unfortunately just the season coming unhinged, and recently it's not even been any fault of her own.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see down there, she started on P12, and she was already technically up to P10 at one point in the race. So she was doing it. Oh, she just lost it by herself on the. I'm pretty sure that's just before Forrest's elbow. So that's really unfortunate. You know, the back end just steps out because there's pretty much a step under braking. So unfortunately, she got it quite wrong, and that's pretty much game over. You have to wait for the entire field. As you can see, the track, you pretty much touch the brake, and unfortunately the rear end just goes, and unfortunately, yeah, that's a big concrete wall. There's absolutely nothing she could do at that point. She was just a passenger. So that's unfortunate. You know, she was doing a great race, but, you know, that's just Mount Panorama for you. Just does not forgive, just does not care how great of a race you're doing. A single mistake and you're out.
I regret to inform you all that James Hansen did something similar just a couple seconds ago. He's now fallen from the fourth position down to 11th, and he's now in a battle with Torian Longacre and Mick Blue for P10.
Big issues here for James Hansen as well. It was scoring him in 9th the last time by the start-finish line. He's lost some spots, obviously, and he's in that 11th position, and actually might have been 4th, like you said, huh? That was just... Anyways, we're going to figure things out. We are through the first 15 minutes of this race, which I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised that we've not really had any big incidents. We've had a few here and there, and if you go to the Discord chat, there's some drivers already unhappy with the way their races have gone, but... Really, I think a rather clean first 15 minutes has me excited for the next 45, and I think things are going to stay pretty clean. It's going to be interesting when these drivers have to make their pit stops, though. I think that's when some races may come unhinged for some more drivers, because that's when things are just going to really heat up, and you're going to start to see these drivers push even as, Hansen wide into the cutting, but he's going to get a good run up the mountain. And hopefully, for his sake, try and put a battle here on Torin Longacre to get back into the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately for James, that's not something we usually see from him. I know we haven't seen all season long a mistake from his part, but, you know, he's coming up to the lap where he made a mistake previous lap. You can see there's some damage on the front end of the Ferrari. He unfortunately just lost the car on the brake on the transition from the S's just as you can see, he just lost it on this transition. As you go to the left, he unfortunately the back end just stepped out on his Ferrari. And I'm pretty sure the reason why we haven't seen any big crashes is purely because of the class of these drivers. As you can see, oh, he nearly lost the car there. Looks like he tried to make a move on, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's Torin Longacre. He unfortunately trying to make a move, didn't work out, so he's gonna definitely have to wait. But just the class of these drivers, you know, in Fisher races, sometimes you see someone spinning and then instantly trying to get back on track, but these guys obviously have the utmost respect for the other drivers, and luckily they wait until there's a safe path for them to return, and I guess that's the main reason why we haven't seen any big pileups tonight.
And I do have to just back that point right up, and I agree. The cleanliness of the field as a majority is very, very commendable. Everybody, you know, racing with great racing etiquette. Here comes Hansen for the lunge. He was, remember, 9 points back of D'Alessandro, who's currently third. They were third and fourth, so Hansen's going to be on a tear through the field to try to regain some of those points. We'll see here as he comes through Hell's Corner. He'll try to set up, I believe, Michaela for a pass into Corey's Bend.
And some information here from Sarah Rabb, actually, is that her steering was damaged already. So when that incident happened, it was just the car being damaged and unfortunately going around on her. Mick Blue challenges into Corey Bend. That's not really a passing zone, is it? I mean, well, that was tough. It's going to work out for him, but it's really tough to pass through there because, again, just like the rest of this racetrack, you see Torin's not happy there. Puts the flashers on there for Mick Blue. Not happy at all that Mick decided to make that pass. Corey is so tough to try and pass in because just like the rest of this racetrack, it's just a very tight racing line, and if you get outside of that racing line, you're going to have troubles and likely run wide or hit the wall or something. It's just tough to make that pass, but Mick Blue, I think, just by default, just by Torin facilitating that pass, it gets the position, and now the battle switches to James Hansen trying to pass Justin Michaela. And the number one car, like you said, JP, has been great all season long. Very, very consistent, very unlike James to make that mistake. But if any racetrack is going to reach out and make a consistent driver mess up, it's going to be Bathurst.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it does not forgive. Luckily for him, the damage doesn't seem to be affecting his face too much. Obviously, he has damage, and it's going to cost him a few tenths of a second every single lap. It looks like he has a massive gap to the car in front, but, you know, he has to put his head down. Unfortunately, last week he already had to do a recovery drive. It looks like that's going to be the same here tonight. As you can see him already going around the outside. Looks like Justin McKinley is not going to fight him too much. Yeah, he just lets him go. So, you know, that's a big heads-up drive from Justin. You know, he knows that James has the upper pace, and, you know, it's not worth fighting, not worth risking a crash at this point in the race. So, you know, good heads-up driving. Looks like he has a massive gap to James Allen. Looks like it's around 12, 13 seconds. So he definitely has some catch-up to do. But no, just coming back to Mick Blue, looks like Mick Blue just took an opportunity from the mistake that the opportunity that pretty much was presented to him, and I'm not really sure why the flashers were on, but you know, they were on, and luckily for him, that's one free position, so he can try to fight Justin Michaela on the next few laps.
Well, you know, I think that really got Longacre out of whack. He's now in the pit lane now, I would assume for repairing damage. So I think that really, really put a huge damper in his race. You see him there. Oh, no.
We have a Mercedes doing a wheelie. And Longacre flipped over. This is a replay, and that is the newcomer, Christopher Raptis, involved in things. This is out of the chase. And he's actually defending from Alan Roth right here to the chase. Alan goes up the inside. Is there contact? No. Torin just gets loose and sends it around, and he's trying to steer, and then he holds the brake, and Raptis with nowhere to go. And oh my gosh. That's a massive incident for those two. Unfortunately, that's likely going to end the 79's day as well. And the number 6 of Torin Longacre, you see him joining. It looks like Michael De La Salle in the pit lane. Oh, man. There's a lot of drivers that this track is reaching out and getting this evening.
Yeah, and just like we mentioned on the pre-race show, pretty much, you know, staying alive is going to be the name of the game, keeping your nose clean. Unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, there was absolutely nothing he could have done. He just unfortunately got caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. And, you know, looks like we already lost a handful of drivers so far in this race. Looks like we already lost around 6 drivers. That's unfortunately from our point of view, but that just shows the nature of this racetrack, you know. A single mistake like that, your race is over. It's pretty much game over. You know, you just have nowhere to go to avoid the car in front. And, you know, it is what it is, essentially. But, you know, coming back to Chris Brenneman, looks like he already put the gap down to 1.5 seconds. Now 1.4, back to 1.5, just as I mentioned it. And it looks like John Winterdorf is going to be having to fight off the pressure from Chris, as Garrett D'Alessandro definitely does not have the pace to battle Chris tonight. So that's really interesting. Gavin Cohn in P4 right now, currently doing a great race due to the mistake of James Hansen. But looks like Chris is definitely wants that lead back from this race.
Up until just a second ago, we had only 20 cars running. Now Erlen Busch comes off the pit lane, makes that 21. But yeah, this battle up here, this got down to 1.6 seconds. And, I mean, Brunnemer keeping Wittendorf honest, but Wittendorf has been on an absolute rail around this circuit. That's very, very, very hard to do. Very commendable what Wittendorf is doing. Just, he's out, in not a huge lead, but a lead, where you can be a little comfortable. You can even really be comfortable at Bathurst. And he's just doing his thing. We'll see, if Brunnemer tries to undercut. And I know these drivers really don't take tires. And I haven't driven this circuit. It takes a certain level of talent to drive this circuit that I don't have. So I don't know how bad the tires will be an issue. But is tires considered here? I highly doubt it. But it's worth a thought, I'd say.
These guys race into the, I guess, I was going to say the second 40 minutes, but there's only 60. Anyways, we're getting closer and closer to halfway. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And we're getting closer and closer then to these pit stops for these drivers that are so important. I don't think we're going to see tires taken, to answer your question there, Emerson. But definitely going to have to figure out how much fuel you need around a place like this. If you run out of fuel going up the mountain, you are in trouble. Some racetracks you can coast around if you really need to, but with the elevation here, it's just not going to happen. If you run out maybe around Skyline, you could try and coast back, but it's doubtful at that point. There's just so many corners we have to check up, and then you really got to rely on gravity to get you back around. We're watching these top three drivers here, Whitendorf, Brunnemer, and D'Alessandro, and they're all separated by a couple of seconds apiece, even a few seconds back to Gavin Cohn. The field rather spread out until you get back to this 5th and 6th situation. Jackson Lowry trying to defend from Trevor Anderson. Whoa, and Jackson takes the defensive move into 2, and Anderson tried to go around the outside for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. The defensive line to turn 2 is definitely the preferred line because he really cannot make that corner around the outside. The cars just don't have enough downforce. But coming back to the point, speaking from personal experience, you just don't take tires on this racetrack because on this racetrack, it just seems pretty much impossible to make a move unless the guy ahead of you gets a bad run out of one of the corners before one of the main straights. And, just track position is essential. So I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of undercuts in this racetrack. Obviously, Sarah Rabb, she was the queen of pretty much undercuts. She was obviously the first driver to make a pit stop on every single race so far. Unfortunately, we're not going to see that tonight. But, I'm pretty sure all of these drivers are going to be wanting to run the tank dry to make sure they don't get stuck behind traffic. Or if they are approaching lap traffic, they might do an undercut to avoid those cars because just getting stuck behind someone on the second sector of this racetrack is just asking to lose time because there's no way that you can safely make a move without costing a few seconds or even risking a crash.
We were on board with Trevor Anderson there, and I just want to say what a beautiful camera shot from Whiplash Media there through VS's the downhill and on the way to elbow, Forrest elbow. Up now on into the chase here. Anderson continues to put the pressure on Lowry as they continue to close that gap on Gavin Cohn. This could potentially become a 3-car battle for the 4th position in a few laps, especially with pit stops. That could shake things up.
Alessandro around backwards into Murray's corner. And, this is tough for the number 13. The rear end of this Audi is all dented. Well, it's trying to fix itself, trying to render the damage. Looks like the wing is going to be the biggest part of the damage. The back end of the car, the back bumper there, really not that damaged at all. He just caught grass under braking. It's a very easy mistake to make, but one that you simply cannot make, or that is exactly what happens. And Garrett learns the hard way. He's backed up into that tire barrier. He's going now, but losing a lot of spots right there. I think that was 3 positions. So he drops from 3rd to 6th.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same mistake he made in the first few laps. Unfortunately, the track kind of just moves a bit left and then right again, and unfortunately, he just caught on the grass, and unfortunately, that just is enough to spin around the back of the Audi. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if he has a lot of damage on the rear end. That's going to be enough to force another mistake coming down the mountain on this lap. So he's definitely not going to have the same pace only due to damage, but he's also going to have to be very, very careful in these high-speed corners and obviously on the transition. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, the guy that's pretty much celebrating is James Hansen. Look, he's still behind Garrett, but if the damage is too severe, looks like Garrett might have to come to the pits to get optional repairs, or he might just take some on the pit stop. So it's going to be really interesting to see the next few laps how they're going to unfold towards Garrett's and Jim's.
Well, speaking of James Hansen, real quick, he is in the pit lane.
I was gonna say, I feel like I owe D'Alessandro and Hansen an apology. I said at the top of the broadcast that those drivers that are 30-plus points back could really benefit from a couple of issues that are very, very easy to make at this track. And Hansen was in 12th before he made his pit stop. And, of course, D'Alessandro, he's still 6th, but he's got a lot of back-end damage. And that gap that they had. Unscheduled pit stop for James Hansen is what I'm hearing. So a lot of damage. So both of these drivers now are going to be, they're not going to be getting the points that they usually get. And, I'm getting James crashed in Skyline. So this is going to be huge for those third on back in points. And we can really see a shakeup in the point standings.
Well, it's all a race of attrition here, Emerson. And it just comes down to making all 60 minutes. Making every single lap without a mistake or as few mistakes as possible. And yeah, it looks like, the back end just came around on this Ferrari. And this isn't the first time we've seen the back end of a Ferrari come around on these drivers. I talked about the Audis being difficult to drive. It seems like the Ferraris are right there with these guys. Seems like they've set these cars up to have a bit of oversteer, and that's certainly starting to hurt them as this race goes on. It's all about keeping all 4 fenders clean. Looks like James Hansen going to fall victim to Mount Panorama. Trevor Anderson has fallen off the pace a little bit. He has lost a lot of time here to Jackson Lowry and Gavin Cohen as they battle for the bottom spot on the podium. So big trouble is there for the number 211, but he's still in the top 5, so not a bad day overall. Some other battles in the racetrack include Brady Lubenow trying to put a pass for position. This would be on Alan Roth in 12th. So how about Alan? And there it is, that graphic again. How about Alan up into 12th position?
Yeah, exactly. Alan doing a great job. He started on P20. He's already up into 12. So he's just pretty much showing you how important it is to keep your nose clean, just doing your own race. Even if you don't want to fight people, the positions are essentially going to come to you. And he's already up 10 positions, and he's fighting with someone that's starting on P2. So, you can see they both end of the spectrum, I guess. Someone that started up there and unfortunately has dropped down, and someone that started on the back of the field and he's already up a few positions. And, hopefully Alan can keep his nose clean. Looks like he's getting a lot of pressure from Brady Lubenow, looks like he's a bit impatient. Luckily for him, the spin that he had on the exit of Hell's Corner, looks like he didn't catch enough damage. So he looks like he has a brand new car, and hopefully he can fight for the top 10, and who knows, maybe a top 5. The good thing about this racetrack, as you can see, Winterdorf just goes purple. So even though he's getting a lot of pressure, he goes purple. Look like Alan Roth is just letting Lubenow pass by the looks of things. They're going to go side by side through Conrad straight. And yeah, he just lets him by. He's just doing his own race. So that's a smart move for him. Obviously, he still has 30 minutes left. And, the good thing about Bathurst is we're probably going to see some newcomers on the podium. So either Gavin Cohen, Jason Lowry, or even Trevor Anderson we might see on the podium tonight. So fingers crossed we can see one of them 3 on the podium tonight.
What a story that would be. And I want to say Lubenow, when he spun on lap 2 off of Hell's Corner, I don't know how far back, but he has been on the tear through the field. I was wondering if he was going to get back into the top 10, and he's only a couple spots out of that. Of course, some pit stops have happened, I think maybe just Hansen's, but we'll see where pit stops have him shake out. And of course, Windorf going purple 30 minutes into the race. That is wicked. 30 good hard minutes of racing on these tires, and he's been pressured this whole time, as JP said. So they haven't been he hasn't been easy on the tires. He has been flying around here, and for him to still go purple this late into his stint is wild.
As these tires take temperature, you actually can get a little more speed out of them than when they're cold. And they're burning fuel off, and this is the lightest these cars will be just about before they put some fuel back in them. So it kind of makes sense, especially with all the straightaway going up and down the mountain, that you pick up a little bit of speed here towards the end of this stint. But it is still surprising that he went and beat his best lap time so far. I think that is definitely the surprise. Mick Blue getting some pressure right now from Jeffrey Belk, and Belk just trying to as usual, pressure somebody into a mistake. I think that's just really all you can ask for as a driver trying to make a pass here at Mount Panorama. You've just got to try and get up to somebody and then either get a pass down one of the straights or just get them to mess up.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jeffrey, he's on the Audi and Mick is on the BMW, so we have the two ends of the spectrum. The Audi is probably the slowest GT3 on the straight line, and BMW is one of the strongest, so he's definitely going to be struggling to pass the BMW on this racetrack. If he wants to make a move, he has to make it probably on turn 2, so he can pull away on the second sector. But just coming back to Winterdorf real quick, I feel like he's just in the zone. He's already 2.5 seconds clear of Chris Brunnemer. As you can see there, Mick Blue makes a small mistake. That's going to allow Jeffrey Balk to kind of get close, but not close enough to make a move. But just coming back to the leader, he's probably in the zone right now, so he's pushing really hard and not making any mistakes, and that's where you want to be as the leader, you know, just pushing, not getting complacent, just, you know, just doing your own thing and pumping out those laps. And as we come back to this fight, we're going to see just how much the BMW just pulls on the straight line. You can see it's already pulling away, so it's just a struggle, and unfortunately that's the frustration game for those that run the Audi. You know, that's the trade-off that you get. And unfortunately for him, looks like he's lost a lot of time on the straight line speed on the straights, so hopefully he can claw that back on the second sector.
And don't look too soon. I know Justin Mikhaila pitted, but before Mikhaila pitted, Brady Lubenow got Mikhaila into the chase. And so Lubenow is on a mission to try to catch this battle. He wants to get inside the top 10. And of course, with Mikhaila pitting, does this bring anybody else in, especially in this battle that's going to consist of quite a few drivers once this all shakes out?
Watching Belk actually make up a little bit of time here through some of these corners. It seems like the Audi, again, it wants to oversteer just because of the balance of this car, and it can attack these corners a bit harder, but the BMW almost has some pace on the straights, I think. Some straight line speed advantage there for the Z4s, and I think that's much like their GTLM counterpart, the M8. They just seem to have a bit of extra pace on the rest of their competition, but look at this, Jeffrey Belk now all over the gearbox, the back bumper, whatever it may be for you. Oh, but he messes up a little bit, I think. Some of these guys will actually turn their ABS way down. These GT3 cars do feature that ABS, but you can turn it down to where it really doesn't even do anything for you. I think that's what Belk may have done, and may have actually got a little bit of lockup. It's rare that you lock up in a GT3 car, but that might have been it right there. It's a setting that these guys can mess with, attuned to their liking, so you actually can run it with no ABS, and so on and so forth. Gavin Cohn pits out of the third position. He'll lose that spot to Jackson Lowry and more, but he is the first one of our leaders down the pit lane.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Gavin being the first one to make the move into the pit lane. Obviously, you know, he may have been pressured to do it, but, you know, it's really interesting to see. Hopefully he doesn't come back on traffic and that doesn't hurt his fight, but looks like coming back, looks like Jeffrey Balk again, it just gets better exit out of the corners, but unfortunately the BMW is just a tank on the straight line. You know, he just keeps pulling away, and unfortunately Jeffrey has absolutely no response on the straight line. And looks like Gavin Cohn is going to be fighting with Brady Lube now. No, he's just going to be coming out ahead. So that's essential for him. He has a healthy gap to Jeffrey Balk. Hopefully, for his sake, obviously, hopefully Jeffrey Balk and Mick Blue comes into the pits before he catches them. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see when Jackson Larry and when Trevor Anderson, they're going to come to the pits. Looks like, oh, I know the reason. So it looks like Jackson Larry's stuck behind traffic. He's stuck behind a Mercedes, and that's not ideal for him. So you can see just the wrecked Mercedes of Christopher Raft is just behind Joshua's BMW. So that's not ideal for Jackson, so he's going to be losing a lot of time. It's ideal for him if he can get rid of this traffic and maybe pit this lap to minimize his damage.
I was going to say that is tough. You know, he's already about 11 seconds back off Brunnemer and almost 14 seconds off of Wittendorf from the lead. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Cohn comes around, or if drivers pit in because of Gavin Cohn. Cohn still ahead of Lubenow. Lubenow's actually pressuring Cohn, but here comes Lowry on, I believe that's Jabirek into the final corner here. And he'll get clear of that lap traffic, and we'll see if he can make any sort of run at Brunnemer and Wittendorf, but they are long clear.
down the Conrod straight towards the chase now go. Brady Lubenow and Gavin Cohn. Cohn has just pitted. He did not take tires, of course. These guys won't be taking tires this evening, nor will they for the rest of the series. But Brady Lubenow, a little bit lighter on fuel, means he's got a little bit of straight line pace on this BMW, it feels like right now, I would imagine, since he's got that lighter load. But you see Lubenow, it actually just goes down to the inside as that's going to be the Audi of Jeffrey Belk pitting as Lubenow makes it look easy, gets on by Gavin Cohn. I think Gavin understands that he's got a lot of time on Brady if he just lets things sort out, and Brady's just a little bit quicker, I feel like, right now. Lubenow has been quick all season, so I think that Ferrari's just a little bit faster than the BMW, and Gavin understands that. That's situational awareness. That's what you like to see out of a racing driver.
Not only that, but obviously he has to take into consideration that Brady started on second place, so he obviously has the raw pace on this racetrack. But not only that, Brady has not made his stop yet, so he's not fighting for him for track position right now. Currently I'm pretty sure Gavin is P3, on track after the sequence of pit stops. So he definitely doesn't have to worry about Brady Lubenow at this point in the racetrack. He might just use him to get extra slipstream because Brady has the upper pace that Ferrari definitely has. I'm pretty sure the Ferrari is the better car on the mountain section of the racetrack, and the BMW is just stronger on the back straight. So he's just getting pretty much free slipstream and free pace at this point. So that's definitely a good move on his part to make sure he can guarantee that P3 and hopefully pull away some gap to guarantee that podium for him.
Real quick, actually, the race leaders coming in. John Wittendorf coming into the pit lane. I was going to say Ruderbusch and Affey came into the pit lane. And, a little bit of grass for Wittendorf on pit entry. But he'll get down to pit speed. And Brunnemer hot on pit entry, but he'll make it in as well. And they'll be racing down the pit lane, 31 miles per hour, very, very slow pit speed. And they're going to stop almost. Actually, Brunnemer's actually got a couple slots ahead. So this will be an interesting race off pit road. Does Brunnemer maybe take less fuel for the track position and maybe try to back him up? I don't know. Also, Jackson Lowry in the pits. So Trevor Anderson, a Whiplash racing driver, takes over the lead of this race.
There goes Wittendorf, the first out of the pit lane, and that's going to preserve his lead over Chris Brunnemer. You'll see Brunnemer exit now as well in that Ferrari, and then, here comes Erlenbusch, I believe, around that corner, and it's really, I think, John Wittendorf's race to lose at this point. Obviously, traffic will be a little bit insane for him to deal with. You mentioned Trevor Anderson resuming the race lead for right now. He does take that lead spot. He's the last of the cars to pit. It looks like nearing 20 minutes left in this race. About there when he comes into pit, I'd assume this lap around. Doesn't get the grate there, the first grate that we have, but he gets the second one. And he's going to continue through Skyline, now down the hill. But, man, this battle, very interesting to watch in the pit lane. Brunnemer comes out behind Wittendorf, though, and it was a gap that I don't think he was going to overcome in the pit lane. It's going to have to come on the racetrack. Gavin Cohn will cycle into third still. He's got some time on Jackson Lowry as well. You see the gap there. And Garrett D'Alessandro, after his pit stop and after his troubles, will cycle into sixth position now. It should change into fifth here shortly, but he's got company from Alan Roth. And when Alan Roth is around, nothing is certain.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like, I'm not pretty sure, but I feel like Trevor Anderson is the first BMW to actually lead a race, so that's good for him. But looks like everywhere else, looks like Chris Brunnemer actually caught up to over a second on the pit stops. And it looks like John Wittendorf actually was held up by Bernd Osterhag on the Audi. It looks like that's going to give the opportunity to Chris Brunnemer to actually close up a lot on John. So that victory that looked like it was settled at one point in time looks like it's very much under challenge once again. So it looks like Chris obviously has to keep his nose down and trying to apply the pressure. It looks like it's working already. John Wittendorf goes into the grass on the exit. He's definitely gonna have to go defensive, but looks like he's gonna be losing the position even before the final corner. So that's unfortunate for him, going from P1 now down to P2. He's gonna fight back on Hell's corner as well, so it looks like he got the better exit. He's on the quarter panel of the other Ferrari. He's gonna be going down the inside. Chris is gonna fight around the outside. They're both gonna be going side by side through turn 1. It looks like John Wittendorf got the better exit, but Chris is gonna have the inside line onto turn 2.
What a battle that was on the front part of this circuit, and now the weaving down the the mountain straight on the way to Quarry Bend, nose to tail, 2 Ferraris. Anderson's coming to the pit lane, so this is the battle for the actual race lead as well. And Bronimer finally got to Wittendorf and got around him. I think that's the first time since the very beginning of this race that Wittendorf hasn't been in the lead. So he's back in front now, but very unsettled up front.
Whitendorf finally realizing he's got company up at the top spot. Brunimer trying to put the fight on, but historically through this race, Whitendorf has just had pace over this number 2 car, so it's going to take a lot for Chris to really contend with him, I think. It seems like he's a little behind where that 24 car has been so far. They nailed that curve there heading down to Skyline, and that's a tough curve to hit as well in McPhillamy. So now through the dipper they go, and well, number 24 is still looking pretty solid, but the 2 of Brunimer putting the assault on.
Yeah, Brenneman is definitely applying the pressure. He obviously has the confidence on that qualifying position. He obviously started on pole, so he's definitely going to be applying the pressure. It looks like it's good, clean, hard racing from both of these drivers, so it looks like they're not going to be willing to give an inch. Now, where does Winterdorf go? If he goes down the inside to defend from the kink, he's definitely going to be giving the inside line towards the chase. For Chris, looks like he's going to be holding the inside line from the chase. Looks like Chris is going to have to fight around the outside. He closes the door on the last possible moment, so that's the good, hard, and clean racing now that I was mentioning. But looks like John Winterdorf has great racecraft, because he lost the position on the chase and he instantly got it back after Hell's Corner. So if he loses the position, he's obviously planning already on where he's going to get the move back, but obviously he has to keep that track position as long as possible to ensure that he has the best chance to win this race.
I mean, let's not even look. We still have 17 minutes left, and if these two are battling each other the whole time, who's to say neither of these drivers won't make a mistake for 17 minutes plus whatever the final lap remaining is? And I mean, if I know Brunimer and Weindorf, I think, has flown under the radar a lot. Of course, he missed a couple races as well. He's 9th in the standings, so he's a little bit further down than where he probably should be. But Weindorf, I know, wants to win, and Brunimer wants to get another win. So what a battle this is going to be for these final 17 minutes.
And Whitendorf was offline through the cutting. That hurt his run up the mountain, and that's going to open up the door a little bit. I mean, you really can't pass the mountain section, I feel like, unless there's a big mistake, but you can at least get to somebody, and you can continue pressuring them as, I think he got the right rear into the wall there through, I can't think, one of those parks. I think it might have been Sulman. Regardless, no, that was Frogs Hollow where he got the wall. Now he's going to put the pressure on down the dipper, and this is perfect Bathurst racing, battling, if you will. And they are going to come up on some lap traffic, though. I'm not sure. That is one of the BMWs in the field, and I got to refresh myself on who that might be. I'm actually not totally certain, but they get on by very, very easily, and now they'll battle down Conrad.
Yeah, that was Jason Frisky. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he was the final driver in the lead lap. Luckily for both of the leaders, he just let them pass. And you can see here, again, Joe Winterdorf is going to give the inside line on the kink to Chris Brunimer to keep the inside line for the chase. And that's going to be essential to keep his position hold. It looks like he gets a bit on the curb, but it looks like he got a decent enough exit. Chris gets a better exit. They're going to be fighting once again as they head into Murray's corner. Looks like John just closes the door once again. Chris got really close to the crash that unfortunately caught Garrett twice this race, but looks like he keeps his wheel on the tarmac and keeps his nose pretty much pointing forward. And once again, it's just rinse and repeat every single lap. I guess what John has to do is, as he got a little bit loose on the exit of Hell's Corner, so he's probably going to be getting under pressure. What he has to do is, once he gets past turn 4, is essentially just ignore the mirror. No, he's not going to be making a move at that point, so just ignore the mirror. But, once you have that Ferrari on your mirror, you're just going to be putting on the pressure lap after lap, corner after corner. And, that's his job. That's what he has to do to try to get the lead back, as he lost on lap 1.
Weindorf has had brilliant defensive moves on the front half of this circuit. But if I'm Chris Brunimer, I've already seen Weindorf make a mistake. I mean, I know this is a heated battle, but I'm feeling a little bit better as Chris Brunimer, also knowing I'm already an established race winner in this series. So, I mean, I know Weindorf has really dominated this race, but I think Brunimer has the momentum, especially closing this gap down. They'll head into the dipper now, and you can see those Ferraris really lift up off the ground, those left side tires at least.
Yeah, these guys really battling very closely now into the Forest elbow and still nose to tail. This is where Brunnemer's got to do something, though. He's got to make one of these passes down the straightaway and just try to get him into the chase or into turn 2 again, because it's so important to maximize the slipstream that you get. And he tried to make the move into the chase a lap ago, but of course, well, Whitendorf defended. He stayed to the inside and made Brunnemer have to go around the long ways. And then he actually got a run back on the number 24 of Whitendorf, but couldn't do anything with it. He actually had to check up before he could turn back to the right side and try to make the move into Murray's corner. It's an art, road racing is, and trying to set somebody up for a pass rather cleanly. You can't just make a lunge the first opportunity you get. You really got to set somebody up, especially at a place like Mount Panorama Circuit. They will battle into the final 13 minutes of this one. This has been great racing throughout. I know we've kind of focused on these guys up front, but this has just been amazing racing since the pit stop.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately for John, after the pit stops and after he got caught in a little bit of traffic, all the advantage that he had of not giving the slipstream to Chris is now gone. So pretty much the only opportunity that he's going to have to clear that slipstream if Chris makes a mistake. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing the last 13 minutes just like this. Rinse and repeat every single lap. And I can't wait. I don't know about you guys, but I can't watch this for the next like 30-40 minutes because this is just as exciting as the start of the race.
Right, and another battle that is that's brewing up is the battle for third. Gavin Cohn and Jackson Lowry. I know it's not as intense as this, but with all that being said, let's take a look at some of the series sponsors. We'll have 425 Motorsports, and at 425 Motorsports, we cater and specialize in automotive racing and driving equipment for all automotive enthusiasts. 425 also offers a full automotive shop for any car project you may have. 425 Motorsports is privileged to bring the Northwest GT3 Challenge some of the best equipment on the market. Next, we have Pgp Motorsports Park. Is a 22-acre go-kart racing venue with miles of asphalt road and panoramic mountain views, located in and next to Pacific Raceways in Kent, Washington. To check that out, make sure you go to pacificgt.com. Also, we'll have Bradley Media Design, custom iRacing liveries. You can watch them at work. You can watch them work in their magic on Twitch at twitch.tv/biffdit. That's BIFFDIT. Skull Sim Gear, button boxes, PC accessories for many games such as iRacing, Assetto Corsa, Elite Dangerous, Truck Simulator, and many, many more for the sim racing or casual driver. Make sure you go to skullsimgear.com. And also, make sure you have make sure you've checked out the Lawrence donation link to make sure you donate there. And we also have our Pit Stop TV sponsors, and I'll send it to Andrew there.
And of course, as usual, we gotta thank Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music, you provide the image you want. They'll custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. Make sure you use code PITSTOPTV on checkout for 10% off. You also want to check out Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. It's their social handles. It's Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine on Facebook. You can go to permanentmakeupinmaine.com as well. Check them out. They're on Instagram. You can even call or text them at 207-358-8683. We also want to thank, of course, Whiplash Media, providing cameras and overlays and the such. We're racing into now the final 10 minutes just about, and things have really tightened up. Even the battle for third place has gotten pretty close. Gavin Cohn with a mirror full of Jackson Lowry as they go up the mount again out of the cutting, and Trevor Anderson close behind for fifth spot, just there in case there is a mistake that's made, and that's actually really going to help him in the points game as well. He's going to probably make some spots up on James Hansen, I would imagine, and more. So a good day in the works for a lot of these guys that are still racing at this point in the show. And what a show it has been. As actually Gavin Cohn has got some traffic now. That's Jason Frisk that the leaders went by a little while ago, and that is going to hold up this battle for third place. But Frisk gets out of the way. Look at that. That's how a lap car gets out of the way here at the mountain. It's so tough to do, but when you can do it, you want to do it right. And a little bit of encoding lag on our part, but we get things back going down Conrad.
Yeah, luckily for Gavin Cohn, I guess.
Spin for the lead!
Ooh, as looks Yeah, looks like John Winterdorf has come around. Looks like both of them actually made contact. And yes, they have. Looks like you can see there. Just Chris got a great exit. Looks like he's just recently. Oh, that's a replay as we were watching. Looks like he unfortunately has cut off a bit. Yeah, you can see just his back. Looks like Chris got a great exit. They were just both running down to the chase. It looks like just Chris just misjudged a bit of the braking and unfortunately made contact. That made John spin out into the gravel and onto the grass. But looks like both of them just carried it on without major damages. I'm not really sure if Chris allowed. Yeah, Chris looks like he's slowing down to allow John Winterdorf to get close, so it looks like good sportsmanship for both of them. And luckily for them, they have enough of a gap to keep P1 and P2. As you can see there, just Chris going slowly in. Yeah, he's gonna let John pass, so that's great sportsmanship from Chris. Looks like it's just an honest mistake, and looks like the Ferrari doesn't have any damage, so no love lost. Keep going, and just what we want to see, I guess.
Very, very intense moment. Sorry to cut you off there, JP, when that happened. I understandably so. That was that could have been a huge moment, and it was huge because, of course, a change for the lead and a big moment. But this allowed Gavin Cohn, Jackson Lowry, and Trevor Anderson a 3-car battle for a podium position. They're now 2.5 seconds back off of a potential battle for the race win. So with about 8 minutes left here at Bathurst, we can see Bathurst, we can have a 5-car battle for the race win. How crazy would that be?
It's insane, and that's the big thing, is how this top 5 is only 4 seconds apart, all the way back through Trevor Anderson, and even Garrett D'Alessandro's a lot closer. So if there's a mistake up here, this is really going to bring a lot of drivers back into this potential battle for the win. You see Whitendorf and Brunnemer running nose to tail back down Conrad, and they'll be nose to tail once more for the chase. And Brunnemer was just a little bit later to the brakes, and he's on the attack. He's a passing driver, and of course, he had the draft all the way down the straightaway as well to just give him a little bit more pace into the chase, and he just got into the back end of Whitendorf. It's a very easy mistake to make. It's really hard to even call it a mistake. It's just racing sometimes, and it happens. Meanwhile, that battle is definitely heating up for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Lowry is still all over Gavin Cohn, and Trevor Anderson has made his way back up to this battle. I think Gavin Cohn definitely holding Lowry up a bit, but it's so hard to pass and pass cleanly.
Yeah, exactly. Trevor has to use the advantage that he has on the straight line speed, because every single lap Jackson Lowry just gets closer to Gavin, but unfortunately he just can't get past on raw straight line speed. The Audi just does not have the straight line speed, and Trevor has to use that extra straight line speed to make sure he gets past that Audi, and hopefully he can fight for the podium. You can see there the Audi going defensive. You can just see how much the BMW just gains on the Audi. Is he going to be moving around the outside? No, he doesn't, so he has to wait up until the exit of Forest Elbow, because that's where Gavin is really struggling. He's just he's just every single lap looks like he's just missing the apex a little bit. As you can see, there's a lapped car just letting everybody pass. So Trevor has to use that advantage to make sure, if he wants to fight for the podium, obviously. If he just wants a safe P5 spot, he's on the perfect position, but I'm sure he wants that first podium of the season.
Yeah, what a story it'd be for any of these three, Gavin Cohn, Jackson Lowry, Trevor Anderson, to get a podium here. Of course, drivers having issues, but it speaks more to them for having the attrition and the skill to really wheel a thing around here for 60 minutes. I probably shouldn't jinx them with 5 minutes left. A lot can happen, but what great driving from pretty much everybody in this field to even keep these cars off the walls. Even if they've hit it a couple times, even if they made contact, even if they spun, it's been still a very clean race for what it is. And side by side, down to Conrad Straight and on the way to the chase. Wendorf on your right side of your screen, on the left side of the road. And here comes Brunnemer. He'll have the outside in the chase.
Brunnemer lunges into the braking zone, can't pass him there though. It's so tough to pass around the outside in a corner like the chase. And now back nose to tail as they head down to Murray's corner, the final corner of the lap, and they're going to come around. Oh, a lunge from Brunnemer. No, he doesn't stick it up the inside. I think just trying to play mind games there. That's a pretty popular one, actually, a very good mind game to play if you're just trying to scare somebody into a bit of a mistake. It doesn't work there, though, for Chris Brunnemer. He's going to have to find a better way around. You see there's a little bit of rear wing damage there as well for the 2-car. These guys picking up little battle scars along the way. You see the whole top 5 pretty much in a row, and now Gavin Cohn trying to get a sniff of the draft, but he's a little too far back. Eric D'Alessandro, he's further back. He rounds turn 1, and there looks to be a battle possibly brewing for 9th. No, my bad. So it was the scoring error there. But how about Mick Blue? He's currently looking at a top 10 position if everything works out his way. And just behind him, actually, how about Alan Roth in the number 12? He is currently sitting in 11th position. A great race for Alan. Very good to see. He is, well, definitely making the most of his comeback to the series. He missed the last race out at Interlagos. I believe it was Canadian Thanksgiving. I don't know much about it, but happy Canadian Thanksgiving 1 week late, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And Alan, you know, when the leaders crashed, he almost got 2 free positions because, you know, if the damage was any harder on both of these guys' cars, you know, he may have got another 2 free positions. But, you know, these guys is just amazing how they both went into contact, you know, especially John, because he just got spun around, but he still, you know, he just shook that off, instantly came back on the pace, and he already looks like he already trusts Chris once again, because he's just closing the door on every single braking point. He's not moving. He doesn't seem to be fazed by Chris' presence on his mirror, just like we saw on the final corner on the previous lap. And just once again, you know, just rinse and repeat. Chris is gonna going down the inside on the kink. He's gonna be trying to make a move around the outside on the chase. Is he gonna be making that move stick on this lap? He's braver on the brakes. He's going to be forcing his car on the outside. John has to give it the position. Looks like they're both going to be going side by side onto the final corner. And looks like Chris tried to sell him the dummy. He does sell him once and twice the dummy. He breaks a bit on the grass, but unfortunately he cannot make the move stick. John has incredible racecraft at this point. He's just not fazed at all by Chris' presence on his mirror.
Looking at the time and what kind of lap times they're running, that means there's about 2 laps remaining in this race, give or take, should these drivers make it around clean and all that jazz. But this is really getting down to the wire here, and you got to think the sense of urgency in Brunnemer's Ferrari is rising as the chances for him to get around Weidendorf are lessening and lessening. You get only about those 4 overtaking opportunities per lap, and of course the final lap you only get a couple. So it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Weidendorf's going to be. I know he's already gotten into Brunnemer's going to be, how aggressive he's going to be, and Weidendorf. I know Brunnemer's already gotten into Weidendorf, but and he's let him back by, so I think that's kind of settled. We'll see how hard he pushes her to win here.
Nose to tail, they continue. That battle behind them has changed up a bit as Trevor Anderson has made the pass for 4th position, and he's actually... Oh, they must have had an incident because Jackson Lowry has really fallen off at this number 211, but stays in those top 5. So now Trevor Anderson solidly into 4th, and he's going to see if he can put some time there on 3rd place, Gavin Cohn. But these 2 leaders still all over one another. I don't know if you can make any kind of move in the first half of the lap because you're still recovering from everything that you did on the back half of the lap before. So down the Conrad Straight, they'll go once more. Under the Fuso Jim Beam not really a bridge, but you get the point. And it's going to be, like JP said, rinse and repeat. We'll see, I'm sure, John defend into the chase and make Chris go around the right side. See if he can do it this time. No! Oh, and a little bit of a move over in the braking zone. That's always sketchy to do as the lead car. You don't want to move around into a braking zone like that, but they get away nice and cleanly.
So I guess John's braking attitude just shows how confident he is on himself, because he doesn't have to go defensive as he goes wide. And now, unfortunately, he's going to be losing the lead and coming into Hell's Corner. Is he going to be fighting, trying to fight around the outside? No, he lets Chris pass. Yeah, and now we have the white flag, so it's all or nothing. Unfortunately, John made a mistake on the worst time possible. He's definitely going to be mounting the challenge as they go up the hill towards turn 2. Chris is going to be going defensive. John's going to be going around the outside. He has to make this move work. He has the advantage coming into the outside. Is he going to be braver on the brakes? Looks like Chris is braver on the brakes. Is he going to get the car slowed down? He does. And Chris looks like he has the win seal. He still has half a lap to go. But oh my goodness me. What a time to make a mistake. John didn't make a mistake for the whole 1 hour of the race. Looks like he made another one, and that may have been the final nail in the coffin on tonight's race.
I don't know. There's still a good chunk of this lap to go as they work their way through Reed Park, Frog Hollow now, and down the hill. I mean, Weidendorf, he's lost a little bit of
he's
touch.
hit the barrier!
Oh,
my!
Back across traffic.
Oh, my, and this opens up the podium as well. That car is junk. Looks like Trevor Anderson's also had problems, so he's not going to get the podium. Oh, is he going to collect somebody? No. Oh, my, John Weidendorf. Heartbreak for the 24. That car is destroyed. That's all it took. One little mistake like that. Chris Brunnemer is off and away down the Conrad straight. Unbelievable stuff. I can't believe that just happened. I mean, that was a great move from Chris Brunnemer to make that pass. And then it was an amazing lunge back into turn 2. I couldn't believe that it stuck. And then just offline through the cutting, and suddenly John was put back on his heels, and he makes that mistake up the mountain, and it's race over for the number 24. He drops down the standings. Looks like an issue for Lubenow as well. We'll follow Chris Brunnemer through to the checkered flag, make sure no issues here for him, and then we'll catch up on all of that as well. And Chris Brunnemer out of Murray Corner is going to collect that checkered flag. Wow. Back-to-back, but in very odd circumstances.
It looks like Gavin Cohn is going to be coming on P2, so that's an excellent result for him. But Jackson Lowry in P3, I'm not really sure what happened to Trevor Anderson. And on Trevor Anderson is on the pits, so we're going to have to wait and see what happened to him. And Gary D'Alessandro, out of absolutely nowhere, is going to be finishing, in P4. What a final lap of this race. That was incredible. I cannot believe what just happened.
How about James Allen picking up a top 5 as well?
Yeah, James Allen, what a great run. Right place, right time. And I have to say, how about the Alan Roth fans? Alan Roth is in 9th right now. If he can make it clean around here. Lubenow there in 7th on your screen as he works his way down to Conrad Straight. McBlue 8th. Oh! Into the barriers, Alan Roth! Up in the air, Alan Roth. 2 cars hard into the barrier.
Oh, no. Big issues here for Alan Roth. Will we still get... Oh, what is that Audi doing? Oh, no. Oh, no. That's incredible stuff. I'd imagine a penalty will come out of that. That is... Wow. I think that was a wrecked, lapped Audi, and he comes... Oh, my gosh. Nothing Alan could have done. That is ridiculous. That's incredible. Allen had such a great race going. I think he would have collected... Was that Belk as well? That was Jeffrey Belk. He was going to collect a top 10, I think, considering Belk came across in 9th. Alan Roth's day. Oh, my. He just cannot get a break, can he? I think it crosses in 11th. That's incredible. I'm not sure who that Audi was. I'm not going to call names or anything. The admins will deal with that, but that is ludicrous. That is ludicrous.
Yeah, that was absolutely unacceptable, but, luckily, unfortunately, we're not going to see Alan Roth, I guess, looking on the other side. We're not going to see Alan Roth doing the magical jump, but, that was just wrong what the Audi did, and unfortunately, Alan had absolutely nowhere to go, and, yeah, unfortunately, that's race over for him. He unfortunately finished top 11, so we're just one position short of the top 10, and, besides this last lap mistake, not really on his part as well, just unfortunate for him, but I guess it was a fantastic race for him, just completely well-deserved, but, unfortunately he's overshadowed by this small mistake on the Audi's part.
Yeah, I mean, just the heartbreak. You are really gutted for Alan Roth. At the same time, it's racing. I can't say, the Audi was damaged, trying to limp it back to the finish line, and cars are coming to a stop here, actually, out of the elbow. I think actually cars out of fuel.
Oh, no, we've learned what happened to Trevor Anderson. This is the replay. It sounds like the wheel did... Yup! Hardware issue. That's a classic hardware failure there for Trevor. He gets shunted into the barrier by his own hardware. Incredible stuff. Oh my gosh, he was saying in the chat that his wheel came disconnected on the last lap out of the cutting. Oh my, so that's what happens to Trevor Anderson. That would have been a podium if not for that. I want to find out what happens to Brady Lubenow because I believe he also has some issues here at the end of this race. He dropped a lot of positions. Still hangs on for 7th, though, but I think he lost a couple of spots right there. Going to see if we can find out what happens to him. But just an insane finish to an insane race.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, every single race on this season has been absolutely fantastic, but I guess this one is going to take the crown. And looks like, oh, unfortunately, we're not seeing it, but looks like a lot of people are taking the jump on Bathurst, and it's just a proper way to send off this fantastic 1 hour of racing that we had, just, oh, just fantastic racing. Well, I guess there's just nothing to say. Just complete 1 hour of racing, last lap mistakes, crashes here and there, and just I'm just glad that we came here to watch and came here to commentate tonight. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait another 2 weeks to see these guys up in action again.
What a great series we've got going here. I mean, the Northwest GT3 series, no matter what circuit it is, the action is always high. Even at a track that's so hard to run double wide, the mistakes really brought the best out of these drivers. The 22 intense elevation change, 22 corners, intense elevation change, tight quarters. Very, very fun race today. Very heartbreaking for Weidendorf, heartbreaking for Alan Roth. But we do have podium finishers to talk to, and I'll send it to Andrew to kind of keep us going here.
We're watching Weitendorf's replay of him trying to get down the hill, and there was some more issues for him. You see him into the Coachshire wall, and oh my, that was a lot to keep up with for sure. And this is certainly an exciting racetrack in every sense of the word. I still just cannot believe what we've seen this evening. Incredible stuff all the way around, and it was great racing when it was proper racing, and then of course there's the chaos to boot at a place like Bathurst. We'll be talking to the top three, as Emerson mentioned, here shortly. Do not go anywhere. We've got some post-race interviews on the other side, and it should be great to talk to these guys, get their opinions on what we've just seen for 60 minutes worth as well. What a crazy night at Bathurst.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We welcome you back to the site of many drivers' perils this evening here at Mount Panorama Circuit, also known, of course, as Bathurst. It's certainly a beast to be reckoned with. Oh my gosh, what an insane final lap that we just saw, and I don't know if there's any other way to put it, really. Chris Brennemer suddenly was on the attack of John Whitendorf. This was that big lunge that he made to retain the lead, and oh my gosh, they came so close to contact as well. We'll just get Brennemer right in here. And Chris, it really was necessarily, I think, John's race until the pit stop. What happened in that pit stop that just gave you that big edge on John?
I short fueled a lot.
Well, there you go. I think that makes sense. So you came out of the pit lane and you just had some pace on him that you didn't have in the early goings. I guess fuel would definitely do it. You made a whole lot of lunges, definitely, I think, into the chase. In just one lap, you end up a little bit too deep, and suddenly you've got third and fourth breathing down your necks, and you've got to put those moves on John. What was it like trying to battle with him nose to tail?
Oh, it was really good racing between him and I, and yeah, I think I got net code in the back of him. I didn't get a 0x on that incident, but I kind of put myself in a box early on lap 2. I caught the inside barrier coming through the forest elbow and just destroyed my left front fender, so I was about 4 miles per hour down the straight. So the only way to pass was to really get aggressive. And John was braking way earlier than me, and that kind of caught me off guard. He was braking early, getting a good run out, and that kind of just was a perfect storm for that contact. Luckily, we had a big gap, and I could just back up and redress because I don't want to win that way.
Yeah, it was a great move to let him go back by, but that came really close to letting those guys join you in that battle. Were you even necessarily, I guess, conscious of them closing in, or were you really just trying to focus on giving him the lead back?
I saw that he had about a 6-second gap to P3, so I wasn't too worried about them. We were able to keep ahead of them the whole race and keep pace on them, so I wasn't too concerned. But like I said, I didn't want to win that way. I was just lucky that through the pit stops that I was able to get within the draft, because with my front end damage, if I never would have gotten that draft, that race would have been over. So I was lucky that I gained all that time in the pits.
And Chris, we just saw the replay of how you end up sealing the deal this evening. John hits the wall behind you. What was it like seeing that in your mirror, if you even saw it, and then just the run back down the hill trying not to mess up?
Yeah, he kind of messed up in turn 4, and that kind of gave me a breathing room, and then my crew chief yelled over the radio that there's an accident or something behind me, and at that point I looked at my relative and I was clear, and at that point it was just kind of cruising, don't bin it.
Well, you end up not binning it on that final lap, and an amazing run for you. You started on pole, you weren't always in P1, you only lead 2 laps when it's all said and done, but you do go back-to-back at Interlagos and Bathurst. Heading into the off week, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Hopefully we get the Audi BOP.
Yeah, it seems like the Audis are definitely on the attack. Real quick, last question I got for you. Obviously, the Audis are a bit evil handling sometimes, and they definitely tend to oversteer a bit, but we saw a lot of Ferraris come around as well. Was that mostly dictated by the setup or the car itself?
The Ferrari is extremely stable from turn 4 all the way down the mountain. You can just gain so much ground if you're aggressive there on everything. It's just so stable. You can basically flat-foot it from turn 4 all the way to the downhill S's. And just gain so much time on other cars.
Yeah, that's insane. Having raced some cars here myself, it's definitely not flat foot and anything else. That's crazy that Ferrari is so stable. But, hey, it works out for you, and maybe they need a Ferrari BOP, huh? But, hey, congratulations once again here, Chris. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out for your big win here at Bathurst?
I really have to thank John for racing me so close. Like I said, I didn't like the contact, but hopefully we'll put on a good show after that contact.
It was definitely an amazing show watching you guys go at it corner after corner. A big win for you. You go back-to-back, maybe not in the circumstances that you wanted, but hey, a win is a win, and you head into the off week as a 2-time winner.
Thanks, guys.
Definitely the win that Chris Brennemer wanted, but it's the P2 that I think Gavin Cohn never expected. JP Costa, I'll just turn it right over to you.
So obviously, it's great to see another RSR car on the podium. Gavin, well done on the P2. You started P8 and found yourself up into second place at the end of the race. So was the first stint, getting yourself up into the P5 and then eventually P4 position?
Yeah, the race was, a lot of the positions were gained by attrition. When I started the race, I initially thought there's no way that I was going to get into P5, let alone second place. A lot of the guys ahead of me were fast. They had consistent pace. I know Lubenow, Brennemer, even Jackson behind me all had great pace, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to keep it there.
Obviously, you kept your nose clean throughout the race, and obviously used that BMW power on the straight lines to keep defending from Jackson. How important was it to, just using that, just even though you got a worse accident on some corners, just keeping yourself clean on those straightaways and using that extra power to keep the position?
I found myself to be really reliant on that extra BMW power and aero throughout the race. I remember one time I got one heck of a run up on Jackson on Conrad Straight, and I blew by him. That was really the start of the comeback to the front.
And obviously, at the final lap, you saw just a Ferrari pretty much just coming back on the circuit. What was your reaction when you saw John and that crash coming up to, I'm pretty sure it was turns 8 and 9?
Initially, the first words that came out of my mouth were "oh no," and then once I found out that once he started to stop spinning and ground to a halt on the road, there was a gap that I could squeeze by on the outside, and I instinctively took it and squeaked by.
That was a great wreck avoidance, and obviously on this P2, James Hansen didn't finish the race. And Gary D'Alessandro finished behind you, so you're definitely going to be making some major inroads on the championship. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling really, really great about it. At this point, I think the goal right now is to keep pace with Brennemer. He seems to have great and consistent pace. He's always at least on the podium, like on every race that he doesn't, die on. Beyond that, I believe if I could keep pace with the front runners, I have a really good chance of taking the championship.
Yeah, and with your consistency, looks like it's definitely possible. I hope to be able to talk to you again on the next week, I guess, next week's race. Sorry, and do you have anyone to thank for this podium?
At this point, I'd like to thank RSR Esports for at least giving me the opportunity to join the ranks within the team, allow me to reach my untapped potential. They give a lot of help with setups, racecraft, pace in general, just a lot of racecraft in general came from RSR Esports.
Well, it's great to see you again. It's great to see you for the first time here, Gavin. I thank you for your time, and I'm going to be passing down to Emerson so he can talk to a third and, again, a new podium finisher, Jackson Lowry.
And we're standing by with third place finisher, driver of the number 78, Jackson Lowry, a podium at Bathurst. How you feeling?
I'm just as surprised as you are about that finish. Still don't know how I got here.
Well, let's talk about that final lap. You and Gavin Cohn have been battling the whole day, along with Trevor Anderson. But on that final lap, you're behind him about a second back, and you see a spinning Ferrari coming back into your path of traffic. What was your reaction when you saw that coming off of the blind corner?
Well, first of all, I was trying not to hit him, but yeah, that was it. Didn't register for a moment who actually it was. I didn't notice it was John until probably about 5 seconds afterwards. But nah, it was scary at first, but it was exciting because now I'm on the podium.
So we mentioned a lot throughout the broadcast that the Audis were they're pretty fast, but they were kind of darting around. How did you feel the handling of the Audi was around a tight circuit like Bathurst?
The Audi is really sketchy, especially on your outlaps cold tires. Once it warms up and once you get used to how it drives, though, you can really warm up to the car. I think it's probably the best car for tight circuits like Bathurst. But yeah, we were down a lot on the straightaways compared to the BMWs.
Right, and talk about that battle with Gavin Cohn and Trevor Anderson. Most of that second stint, and I can't remember how tight y'all were in the first stint, but after that pit stop, it was you three, and after the leaders got into each other, y'all were only a couple seconds behind from a potential 5-car battle for a win.
Yeah, it got dramatic in the last few laps because I don't know if y'all saw on the broadcast where Trevor got past me in the dipper. It was probably about 2 laps to go. I had a low disk space Windows message on the screen. Into the dipper, the car cut to the left, almost hit the barrier, but I drove with it through force elbow, was able to click off on the straightaway. And then I'm not sure what happened to Trevor at the end. I know he slowed down after T1 on the last lap.
Right. You have anybody to thank for your amazing podium finish today?
Oh, for sure. First of all, I want to thank 425 Motorsports for putting it all together. It's a lot of fun, something to do on weeknights. And then our team, FTR Esports, we've been practicing all week. My teammate Tyler, I want to shout him out especially. He built us a setup, a quality setup. And unfortunately, he was out kind of early, but for about the past 15 minutes, he was in my ear, encouraging me and helping me through the last stint as the tires were wearing down. So, yeah.
Right on. Well, congratulations on, once again, just an amazing outcome here at Bathurst. The podium for you in that number 78 Audi. And, yeah, congratulations and best of luck to you in 2 weeks' time when we head to Monza.
Thank you.
And we'll send it back up to Andrew for the rest of this post-race coverage.
Again, just an amazing race. Insane finish to an insane overall 60 minutes leading up to it. We had great battles. We had amazing crashes. Just overall, another classic, I think, to put in the record books to just log as an amazing race here for the Northwest GT3 Challenge. This series just never disappoints, it seems like. Always great racing through and through. Even when it gets a little bit ugly for those drivers on the racetrack, it makes a great TV product, and we love being able to bring this to all of you live. Amazing, amazing stuff, but we can't do it without those who do help us out here at Pit Stop TV and at the Northwest GT3 Challenge, rather. We already talked about some of the partners a little bit earlier. Of course, 425 Motorsports being mentioned as kind of the partner that puts it all on. They have selected products that dominate the industry and provide the most diverse selection of equipment and apparel to their clients. And 425 offers an in-house project management division. They're a full shop that specializes in race car builds, preparation, and street performance and custom modifications. Go to www.425motorsports.com for more. Of course, a big shout out to Pgp Motorsports Park, the 22-acre go-kart facility in Kent, Washington. Bradley Media Design, of course, painting some of the cars that you see in the race as well. Skull Sim Gear for putting up that championship button box for whoever does grab that title. And, of course, want to mention that Lorea's donation link. I'll put that out in the chat here so that you guys can go ahead and donate. And that feeds into making sure that these broadcasts happen for the Northwest GT3 Challenge. It's all a big, big part of the part that we play here on Earth, actually, because it's a very good cause. I'm going to get that. I can find this. I know how to get around Discord. There we go. The Northwest GT3 Challenge broadcasts, as I mentioned, are brought to you by Mash donations to this Loreas.com Sport for Good donation link that I've put in every Facebook, YouTube, Twitch chat that you guys are watching at. Founded under the patronage of Nelson Mandela, the Reyes Sport for Good uses sport as a powerful and cost-effective tool to help children and young people overcome violence, discrimination, and disadvantage in their lives. Over the past 2 decades, they have developed a global network of grantee partners and a worldwide charitable infrastructure. They've also helped develop a depth of understanding and corresponding credibility in their field and are recognized as a leading organization in the fast-growing sport for development community. Please help Northwest GT3 support such an incredible cause by placing a donation today. I mean, it's quality stuff. It's a great cause, as mentioned in that plug, but just my own words now. It is an amazing cause that these guys have selected to match donations to in order to fund these broadcasts, and it's man, I don't even know what else to say. It's actually kind of staggering. I'm glad that there is a cause like that out there, and I'm glad that we can help support it as well. Again, that donation link in the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch chats. Definitely check it out at the very least. An amazing, amazing cause. Of course, we got to thank our partners here at Pit Stop TV as well. Leading right off, as usual, with Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You go to TucsonSoundArt.com to place your order, and for additional info, make sure you use code PitStopTV on checkout for 10% off of your order today. Quite simply, you send them an image firstly, but then they put that image on a canvas, they wrap it around a nice box for you, and that box just happens to have a Bluetooth speaker in it. It holds a charge for eons, it seems like. Definitely a quality battery in their products, and it sounds great too. And it's one of those products you don't think you ever need until you realize that you do. And that moment that I realized that I did was when they shipped me one and I got to see it in person. It is quality stuff. You can also follow them on Instagram at Tucson Sound Art, and you can actually see the box that they sent me, and it is amazing. It's a great moment, and I mean, it could be a wedding, graduation, whatever, any great moment in your life you could put on those things, and it looks amazing. Varying sizes as well, so you can totally make it work for whatever wall that you choose to put it on. Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine does a lot for us as well, and when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. You can contact them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com, Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine on Facebook, or call or text them at 207-358-8683. And of course, a big shout out as always to Whiplash Media, Pit Stop TV's new parent organization that specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more, and actually painted a couple of those Whiplash racing cars in the field as well, of course, and they filled their endurance teams and everything else. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services like photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more information. Before we close this thing out, though, of course, we got to look at some results, and it was a wild, wild road to get to this point where we can look at now the top 10. JP, take it away.
Oh, sorry. All right, Chris Brennemeyer, after only leading 2 laps, comes away with the win. 5 seconds behind, Gavin Cohn finishes in second, and Jackson Lowry rounds off the podium with 2 new podium finishers tonight. Gary D'Alessandro, after 2 mistakes on his end, finishes P4, so a good result for his championship charge, pulling away from James Hansen. James Allen finishes P5 after a quiet race. Same goes for Mikael Rudebusch in P6. Brady Lubnow, after starting P2 and making a small mistake on the exit of Hell's Corner, finishes P7, 50 seconds back. Mick Blue finishes P8 on a good result for him. Jeffrey Belk finishes P9, and John McClintock finishes P10.
We head on down the rest of the results, and in P11, it pains me to say that we have Alan Roth finishing P11, but still on the lead lap. A great run for him, and also Trevor Anderson, a great run, tarnished there at the end. He'll end up P12. Tom Affey, P13. John Whitendorf, P14. Heartbreak on this page of the results, man. Justin Mikhailov will come home P15. Josh Jaburek, P16. Jason Frisk, P17. Bern Osterhog, P18. Michael Bishop, P19. And Steven Erlenbush will come home P20. He'll be 3 down.
In the back end of the field, the back third, led by Torin Longacre. We saw him actually do some great stuff in the early goings. Unfortunately, with that move that Mick Blue put on him, it just kind of got him all out of whack, and then ends up kind of bending the car and just really tough stuff for Torin Longacre. James Hansen comes home 22nd place. Michael De La Sala 8 laps down in 23rd. Justin Craig in 24th, 9 laps down. The leaders, Christopher Raptise, after his big incident there involving Torin Longacre, he ends up 25th, 16 laps down. Sarah Rabb, heartbreak for her as well. She finishes 26th. She did come back out on the racetrack at one point to finish this thing out. 19 laps down for her. Maurice Jones ends up 27th. Edwin Littoff back there in 28th. Tyler Campbell, after troubles with Randall Ayers there in the opening laps, ends up 29th, 23 laps down. Randall Ayers 28 laps down. And the final car this evening was Sven Hartman. We saw him wadded up on that first lap in Forest Elbow. What a race it was. And of course, that means you need to join us again in 2 weeks' time at Monza. But that will conclude, of course, our coverage then from Bathurst. Insane stuff all evening long from Mount Panorama Circuit, also known as Bathurst. We at Pit Stop TV, thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Join us again tomorrow night for the Operation E Motorsport iRacing League presented by Recaro at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and Wednesday for the Bluegrass iRacing Series season finale at Kentucky Speedway. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pitstoptv, pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. For all of Pit Stop TV, this has been JP Cost and Emerson Arden. With me on the mic tonight, Trey Shuttlesworth. Behind the scenes with social media coverage, I am Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time.